We are back on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180. Our guest in studio is Assemblywoman Shannon Grove. Clay.
Shannon, I was reading the paper the other day, and you made it again in Bakersfield. It says facts don't support Grove in debate over prevailing wage. And it looks like the president of the State Building and Construction Trades Council...
A lobbyist. Okay.
Well, he says he's the president, and you say he's a lobbyist, and you would know because you're in Sacramento. But he made some great examples of why prevailing wage is the best way to go.
Yeah, and the first one he said is it doesn't cost more money. Well, I mean, labor is the most expensive thing when any project is taking place, because not only do you have the wage, you pay a percentage, FICA, federal, FUTA, SUI, EDD, ETT, workers' comp. And when you think about just those things, your liability insurance, your workers' comp, and all your taxes are based on the wage. So the higher the wage, the higher the taxes, the higher the workers' comp, the higher the liability insurance, the higher the unemployment insurance, because you pay a percentage on the dollar. So that drives your cost up. I think contracts should be issued based on the free market-driven price negotiated between an employer and an employee. And I have issue, and the article that he's referring to was regarding prevailing wage and unions, and that article where I think we should go follow Wisconsin and eliminate collective bargaining in the public sector.
I love that idea.
The higher the wage, the higher the taxes, the more economic benefit to the community.
Okay, so now you're sounding like somebody who's arguing me with a union person on the other side. That's what you sound like. Somebody came in my office the other day and they're like, well, I pay into my benefit program. I said, how much do you get when you retire? I only get 75% of my check. Or one person goes, I get 92 or 85% of my check. I'm like, wow, I could work all my life, and if I don't save, there's no way I'm going to have that. And that is supported by the taxpayer. So the taxpayer is funding that. So when you say that these people are spending money because they make more money, the taxpayers are paying more money because they pay out more money. It needs to be driven by the free market. Free market needs to be allowed to work in the state, and it's not.
Well, Bob further stated that prevailing wage does not increase government cost, and yet you're saying it does increase government cost.
You know, if I can put somebody out holding a flag, I know that you have to pay very well for positions, and I think that you get what you pay for. But there are drywallers, construction workers, people that build projects, people that build roads that are very qualified to do jobs that you do not have to pay a high prevailing wage in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and $60 an hour. You don't have to do that. You can let free market drive the price, and it is a very wise thing to be able to allow cities and counties to be able to disperse their monies fairly. When you have a $1,000 threshold that no work can be done in a city or a county unless it's paid prevailing wage, unless it's under $1,000. If it's a $5,000 project and labor is 50% of the cost, that limits counties and cities from being able to use their tax dollars and money wisely, and that should be stopped.
Well, that definitely needs to be stopped. I've been watching them building this freeway, this crosstown freeway, and it's interesting. I see these people walking around. I'm amazed at how much they get done when I just watch them. Now, is it a prevailing wage group that's doing the new crosstown freeway here in Bakersfield?
Yes, it is.
And this money is coming from the Thomas Road Fund?
Part of it comes from that, and part of it is a matched fund.
Is this a requirement that it be a prevailing wage job?
Any state fund or federal funds are required to be prevailing wage.
And is that just because it's Democratic-supported unions?
That they support the unions. And when you think about, look at the free market. Like if you guys were going to build a building, you were going to build a home, free market people, if you don't use any state or government funds, when you bid it out, do you take the union price or do you take a fair, competitive, free market price when you bid it out? The only way that the unions stay in business is because they have union Democratic-controlled individuals that allow contracts to be issued, and they've expanded that in the Assembly. For instance, they've covered janitorial teams for state and any type of state-funded janitorial projects. So if you have, Marty, a janitorial company and your employees are horrible employees and you lose that contract and Clay picks it up, he has to retain those employees.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
It doesn't even allow you to hire your own employees.
That was some new legislation, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just passed the Assembly a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, this is a union-driven state,
Absolutely.
Bottom line.
And look at the states nationwide. When you look at states nationwide, the ones that are non-union or that are not, they're free work unions or free work states, right to work states, those states are improving and increasing increasing their job base, and more people are working. And when you look at union-funded states or states that are controlled by the union, our jobs are declining. I mean, I had a notice or an email the other day that in 2009, 1.4 companies a week left. 2011, 5.9 companies a week are leaving. And just a little plug, Governor Perry's coming to Sacramento next Thursday.
Oh, is he really?
Yes.
Yeah, I really, really love Governor
I love him.
Perry.
He's awesome.
Yeah. This is a subject you and I always end up talking about. You alluded to it, workers' comp.
Yes.
Okay. One of the few things that Governor Schwarzenegger, in my mind, did right was workers' comp.
They've eliminated all that already.
Yep. He stopped the bleeding. People were, companies were leaving the state in droves. It's happening again. You were on a committee just recently on work comp.
Yes.
What's going on with work comp again?
All the savings and all the implementations and the new regulations that we got with SB 899, which was the workers' comp bill, they're all gone. If the governor signs these bills, they're all gone. And it's interesting when they're presented. For instance, Mr. Alejo presented a bill, and he walks up and, he introduces himself, and then he said, I'd like to introduce so-and-so from the Applicants Attorneys Association, and they're going to be, presenting the bill. And they present the bill, and it's all about gaining fees, increasing cost, and all of that go to the applicants' attorneys or to the stakeholders. The employee and the employer are not even included in that. It's just the people from the Applicants Attorneys Association that are driving the cost of for the rising cost of workers' comp insurance, and they are the ones that are benefiting from all this legislation that's going through.
We're having a conversation with Shannon Grove. And it's insane because businesses are leaving the state, and we're not even checking to see why.
There is so much anti-business legislation that goes through that business, and we stand up to try to stop it. But businesses are leaving the state, and like I said, I have a list actually. I think someplace here. Where is it? Acacia Research Group moved from Frisco to Texas. Accent Care moved its headquarters to Dallas. Eris All Style Apparel moved from Anaheim to Mexico. A bioenergy company moved to Salt Lake City, Utah. Another company, Claim Jumper and Bubba Gump Shrimp, moved to Houston. When you go down the list, Hyundai Capital, Legacy Electronics, Rockwell Collins, they moved to Florida. It's Tickets.com in Costa Mesa closed its Concord office. Wells Fargo Bank is moving 59 jobs from Orange County to India.
And if workers' comp goes up, you're going to see companies leave in droves again.
It's not just workers' comp. It's all the rules, regulations, and requirements.
All of it.
I agree, Clay, but workers' comp, the last go-round we had...
Huge driver.
Yeah, it was a huge driver. I mean, you had companies leaving for, bizarre states just because the workers' comp was a tenth or less than that of what they're paying here in California.
But our high-cost drivers are not benefiting the employee either.
Right,
it's going to third-party individuals that have the only stake they have in the system is to generate a golden paycheck. And it doesn't protect the employee or the employer, which are the original stakeholders.
And where companies are moving to, Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, Utah, states that don't have an individual tax, basically.
Absolutely. I'm a California state legislature, and we had the opportunity to expand an office here in California or to expand our Colorado region. And the Wyoming area, the Rocky Mountain region is what we're calling it. And we've expanded in those states because we are following our client base there. Our client base is leaving. And what's really sad is that businesses are not even investing in capital investment. There are companies that are willing to invest billions of dollars in the state of California, and they can't even get permits to be able to projects permitted so that they can drill. You have agricultural farmers that want to invest in growing crops, but they are so tied down with regulatory processes that they can't. So the legislature actually imposes regulations and stupid legislation that just hinders business from employing people.
We're going to run out of time, unfortunately, but another issue I want to touch on, if Marty's through with work comp. And he's a specialist in work comp, so he has a personal interest in that. But you're only 2 votes shy of not having any value in the legislatures, as I understand.
And that's going to be a sad day if that changes for the California citizens.
And it may with redistricting.
Redistricting
what
is
can
out.
You tell us about redistricting?
To tell you the truth, a lot of people are focused on maps. I'm not really focused on the maps. I'm trying to focus on stopping the devastation that's going through the building right now. But I know that there are a lot of seats available, and there are challenges that are going to be made. And the lines aren't even going to be real until next year. So just let's just wait and see where the lines are.
Shannon, we would love to have you back. I know you're a little pressed for time this morning. Yeah, and maybe Clay will have his Valium and he'll be a little calmer and easy to get along with.
He slept last time we were together.
That's true.
You should never wake me up.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Kern Radio Newstalk 1180.